I was on the job early today. I wish I could attribute that to my dedication to duty, but we have a relatively new kitty who demanded to be let outside at 1:30 this morning, and I was unable to go back to sleep. So, since there was plenty of work to do, I got a very early start on this Election Day Eve. Wow, I can't believe it's already here. And what has been done to fix voting machines? Worse than that, what has been done to free the political prisoners held in the D.C. jail? Very little. The nouveau communists holding them prisoners have their claws sunk deep into the Justice Department, and tomorrow we attempt to loosen that grip on what justice means in the American Republic. The polls give us great hope of returning the nation to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. However, polls aren't votes. Votes in today's America are numbers that typically pass through computerized tabulators, and as I said before, little to nothing has been done to correct the ills of those devices. Bottom line, if it's connected to the internet, the doors to cheating are wide open. Don't get me wrong, a lot has been done to clean up the voter rolls. What good is that? In this age of AI, supercomputers can continuously scan the numbers and names of all people who are registered to vote in a city but have not yet voted. As the closing of the polls nears on Election Day, malicious manipulators of the voting process can start illegally voting for these registered voters who have not yet voted, based on computerized assessments of the likelihood that they will vote in the remaining time until the polls close. As closing time nears, the likelihood of someone who is registered to vote coming in at the last minute to cast their lawful vote diminishes rapidly, and so the bad guys step up their work, casting totally illegal votes for people who died decades ago, years ago, or who just rarely vote. Sometimes this manipulation is caught, but prosecutions are rare. That's why the focus since election 2020 has been cleaning out voter rolls. For example, in Michigan, 11 counties have 20% more registered voters than voting-aged residents. This cheat is incredibly widespread. In 21 districts in Wood County, Ohio, Obama received 100% of the vote, despite the fact that Republican election inspectors were on the scene but were illegally removed from their polling locations. In St. Lucie County, Florida, there were 175,000 registered voters, but in this same election, over 247,000 votes were cast. Lastly, Obama won in every state that did not require a photo ID, and lost in every state that did require a photo ID in order to vote. There is nothing new about the late voter substitution trick. It has been used mostly by Democrats for many years, as I documented in number 4502, how Lyndon Johnson rigged an election in 1948. I published this on September 28th of this year. However, computerizing this late voter substitution trick makes it much easier to throw in massive numbers of fraudulent votes at the very last and practically impossible to catch in real time, and afterwards easy to simply excuse as a mere computer glitch. And so, there you have it. Computers do not mix with elections in any way, shape, or form. Same-day voting and hand-counting paper ballots only is the only possible way to secure elections. Absentee voting must be limited to U.S. military stationed abroad. If you are a business person overseas, you can schedule a visit home to see your parents or children and vote every year. We must simplify this entire process. Now, let's get on to the J6 demonstration at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. The so-called riot, in the opinion of many, was used by the left to hide the rampant computerized election cheating across the nation in election 2020. The real investigation of the matter has been slow-walked into Congress for the last 3 years. But a young congressman from Tennessee, Judge Thomas Massey, is now on the case after a successful youthful career as an award-winning MIT engineering school graduate. In other words, he's smart and determined to right the wrong and punish the illegal activities of the FBI agent provocateurs.
Inspector General Horwitz, over the past 3 years, I've questioned FBI Director Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland about the federal assets, such as confidential human sources that were present on January 6th at the Capitol, and they have continuously stonewalled me. We've got no answers whatsoever about this from them. Now, you announced that you were going to do a review of the DOJ response and preparation, mainly preparation, I think, for January 6th. When did you start that review? When did you announce that review?
We announced it in 2021, but we ended up pausing it because of the ongoing criminal cases consistent with how we perform our work. We reinitiated it last year, and I'm in the process of reviewing a draft of the report.
So 3.5 years ago, it was announced that you'd be doing this review, and we still don't have the review, do we?
No, as I said, the reason is we paused the review because of the ongoing criminal work that would, consistent with our practice, we don't interfere with ongoing criminal investigations.
So, but now that you've restarted it, do you have evidence of the number of confidential human sources that were operating on the Capitol grounds on January 6th?
Our report will include the information in that regard.
Can you tell us today how many there were? Were there more than 100?
I'm not in a position to say that, both because it's in draft form and we have not gone through the classification review. And so I need to be careful on what I say.
So we're 4 years in. The reason to do these reports, I think, is so we don't make this, if there were any mistakes, not to make the same mistakes again. But we are just weeks away from the inauguration. We're 4 years, almost 4 years into this report. When is it going to be released?
It's certainly my hope and expectation, although I don't control this entirely because it has to go through a classification review, but certainly in the next couple of months is my hope.
Do you think, is there any consideration for the election about the release of this report? Would you delay it in order to not release it right before the election?
You think that could have something to do with it?
At this point, given the process that has to play out in terms of classification review and all of that, I'm not making any, I don't have to make any judgment about that. We're still, that still has to go on. Just to give you a sense of it, when I did the Pfizer review,
you're saying it's not even going to be done in time for before the election?
It doesn't, I doubt it would be done in time for the election.
Is it going to be done before the inauguration?
That is certainly my hope. And
it's your hope. We're 4 years into it, and we know what we do know is you're going to expose that there were confidential human sources at the Capitol. Can you tell us today how many went into the Capitol?
I'll have that information in the report. I'm not able to speak to information in there, both because it's in draft and we get a response from the department and the FBI, okay, but also because I don't know yet what's classified and not classified.
So if they broke the law, if they went into the Capitol, which we pretty much know there were confidential human sources who went into the Capitol and right there alongside of everybody else, wouldn't they need to follow DOJ CHS protocols? And do you know if those were followed?
They should follow CHS protocols. And again, we'll include that information in the report.
Do you know how many were reimbursed for travel?
As I sit here, I don't recall the number.
But I don't recall, or you won't tell us?
Well, and if I did know it, I wouldn't be in a position to tell you because we still have to go through.
We're 4 years into this. You're supposed to be the organization that goes and gets these answers when the FBI and the DOJ stonewall Congress. But I feel like, we're 4 years into this. We're not even going to get this information you're telling us now before the election, and maybe not even before the next inauguration. How would we make any corrections or without that information? I want to move on to something else. we've got FBI's failed investigation of the January 6th pipe bomb. Are you looking into that at all?
We've had discussion, I know, Congressman, about it, and we have followed up, and I can speak to you about that.
I mean, they keep saying it's an ongoing investigation, but they've got no leads, no suspects. They've lost information. They've lost evidence. They can't find evidence. Secret Service deleted all of its texts on January 6th. Steve D'Antuono, the guy in charge of Washington, D.C. field office, says that the cell phone data that could have been used to find the bomber was corrupted. And now we just found out, I found out from another inspector general, and I want to submit this for the record.
Without objection.
Yeah. I asked him, do you have the footage, the video footage? Does the FBI have the video footage of the DNC on January 6th? And he tells me when he asked the FBI for the video footage, they don't even have video footage of the DNC that we know was created on January 6th. It's almost, so it's almost as if they don't want to know. Can you rule out that there were any confidential human sources involved in the whole pipe bomb thing on January 6th?
I'd have to go back, Congressman, and refresh myself on what information we've gathered to date on that. I don't know as I sit here.
And you can bet that when this document arrives, all the names will be blacked out, redacted, and have a 50-year seal on them so that their names won't be known until they are all dead. I'm still reporting from just outside the citadel of world freedom. Good day, and remember to vote early.